I take a deep breath. A gust of wind bubbles in the chimney and drives smoke into the room. My eyes water. If anyone can get the key off de Havilland, it's my father. But it takes an effort to form the. Yes? My father's grip clenches and relaxes. Ah, I see. Your book, is it? So you did go to de Havilland after all. My goodness, he is a duplicitous fellow. Well, there's no need to worry. Lion & Sons is very secure, but if you'd rather I swallow. I turn my head away and wipe my running eyes with the inside of my cuff. When I lower my arm I catch sight of the curiosity cabinet. The glass has been replaced. In spite of myself I glance at the floor, where the stains were. Someone has cleaned it all. The rug has been replaced too. There's nothing in this room. My reflection stares at me from the curiosity cabinet, suspended among the ivory and the fossils. No one would know that there were shelves of books behind it. But I can feel them, fierce as heat from a furnace, as if Abigail and Marianne and Nell are in the room. Now, what were you going to tell me? If it isn't about your own book, what was it? All the benevolence has gone. His voice is like the edge of a piece of paper, sharp and deceptively soft. I turn. A drop of sweat crawls down the back of my neck. I take a breath to argue, but he's watching me, and my mouth is suddenly too dry. He waits. I heard, I'm glad when the fireplace billows an ashy cloud, and I have an excuse to cough. De Havilland, I grope hurriedly for a lie. His apprentice said he was producing fakes. Fakes? Novels? My father frowns. You mean, copies? Yes. Copies? In the bindery. He said they copied Nell's book. He is silent for a moment. I don't wait for him to change his mind. When I step into the cooler air of the hall my shirt is wet and sticking to my back and under the arms. I don't pause until I'm in the blue room and the door is shut behind me. I lean against it. My heart is thundering in my ears and my headache has come back with a vengeance. I shouldn't have been such a coward. I'd made up my mind to ask my father. If I'd told him the truth, it would be out of my control by now. I can't settle. It's as if someone is just ahead of me, leaving every room just before I open the door. No matter where I go I have the same sensation, as if the warmth of someone else's breath still hangs in the air. I go to my bedroom and take William Langland out of the chest where I keep it. But I can't read. I never want to read it again. I stare out at the snow. My mother outside there's deep, dead silence. The main streets are full of traffic, mired in the frozen mud. Cabbies shout at each other. Pedestrians curse as they pick their way along the pavements. Beggars glower from doorways. But as soon as I turn into a side street, everything is quiet. The snow swallows every sound. Alderney Street is empty and silent. When I get to number 12 I go up the steps without giving myself. Door is opened almost immediately. It's the same woman as before. This time she's wearing green with jet beading. I say, I'm here to see de Havilland. The street is still empty. The snow goes on falling. The light is starting to fade. I'm here to get the key. That's why I've come. At least, I thought it was. But now, standing here watching the snow, I'm not so sure. I don't have a plan. I don't have a hope. What I want, most of all, is to forget all this. To go home blank-headed. To sleep without thinking. I do almost anything. My chest is tight. There's a sour taste at the back of my mouth. It would almost be a relief not to know that Emmett Farmer is waiting for me at the 8 Bells. Not to feel that sting of unease when I think of his face. Not to look at Honor, the day after tomorrow, knowing that part of me is locked away, out of sight. And there's a simple solution. It's de Havilland. It shouldn't be surprising, we're only a few streets away from his bindery, but it makes my heart jump into my mouth. I stop dead. But I don't want to accost him here, it'll be too easy for him to walk away from me. I pull back. There are 2 men sauntering down the street behind him. When they pass the lamp they move casually to the edge of the pavement, keeping to the shadows. With a jolt, I recognize one man by his size and the other by his gait, Acre, my father's advisor, and his right-hand man. As they move into the unlit part of the street, Acre and his man, right, I think, swap a single glance. De Havilland. He knocks de Havilland's hat off. In the same second he swings his arm so quickly there's no time to see if he has a weapon. De Havilland drops. Bright puts his kosh back in his jacket and manhandles de Havilland's limp body into the little alley just in front of us. Acre bends for de Havilland's hat and follows right into the shadows. It's so slick it's like a music hall turn. But there's no applause or laughter. Now the wind has died down I can't hear anything but my heartbeat. I make my way to the mouth of the alleyway and stare. The men are crouching beside de Havilland. Wright is holding something over his face. De Havilland's feet jerk about and his body convulses. As I watch, it slows and stops. His ankles roll outwards. Everything is still. Aker puts a handkerchief and a bottle of ether back in his pocket. Right, let's go of de Haviland and rolls his head from side to side, grunting. Good evening, Aker. The words come out easy and assured. I tilt my head to look at de Haviland's face. He's breathing. If there's a bruise, it's on the back of his head. He could be asleep. I keep my eyes on his face, but I can hear my father's voice. I've had my doubts about de Haviland. Probably a fire at the bindery, Wright says. Terrible thing, a bindery fire. A binder gets stuck in it, no one even hears him screaming. Lucky the workers Aker turns to me. The look in his eyes has changed. If my father decided he didn't need a male heir, after all, this is nothing to do with you, sir. With all due respect. Certainly. I smile at him. If they're staging a fire in de Haviland's bindery, they'll need to get in without breaking the locks. I fumble. If I take too long, Aker will pluck the whole bunch away from me. His arm twitches. Just in time I slide the big key off the ring and slip it into my pocket. I look at him and smile, again. That was I need to send a note to Farmer, telling him to meet me. Midnight would be best, somewhere quiet, where there's no one around. He didn't tell me where we were going. I was counting on borrowing horses from our own stable, but I can't go home now. I can't risk my father seeing me. Aker will tell him about the key. I'll have to find a hotel where I can write a note and stay warm. I'll hire the horses from a livery stable. I check the key in my pocket. I huddle into myself, shaking. I must have known what I was doing. But it's only now that it's real. I've killed someone. That noise when Wright hit him, the choking, bubbling sound of ether going into his lungs, the spasms, the terrible juddering as he clenched all over. I wait for it to pass. My vision clears. In the shop window a fan of colored gloves stretches empty fingers towards me. The horror subsides into a dull shame. This is what it feels like to be a murderer. And a coward. No wonder I got myself bound. If my book is anything like this, I have to find it